Hello, friends. It's John Connor III with episode 125 of Shadow and Flame of Magic, the podcast. And today we're going to review X-Men 97, episode 9. Tolerance is for extinction, part 2. So let's get to it. So this episode is 31 minutes. Logan does the previously on X-Men. The credits, Magneto is still not part of it. Storm is in her cockroom outfit. Jubilee is still in her old outfit. Bastion's crying over his dead mom. And that's it. And then the episode opens with Bastion crying over his dead mom. Jubilee and Sunspot are on the run. Xavier's at the mansion. His hover chair is wrecked, and he probably couldn't use it anyways because of Magneto's EMP. We finally find out why Storm is not at the mansion already because she went to Genosha to grab Jubilee and Sunspot, and then they're on their way to Westchester. And then Jubilee and Storm hug, and you just feel like these both have just been through it, and this hug is so important. And I'm all for X-Men hugging each other. Like, it doesn't happen nearly enough as it should. Jean giving Scott and Xavier a moment to talk. She states that there's 12 hours until the world ends, which I have no idea why it's 12 hours. Maddie was right. Xavier wanted them to retire. We see Xavier has a blanket over his legs and is just in the classic wheelchair. Cyclops states that even if they had left, everything would have been the exact same thing. And I don't think it would have been. Because would Maddie have turned into the Goblin Queen? Would Jean have gone to the mansion? Like the Summers would have been in Alaska. Scott wouldn't have been tempted by Jean. I'm reading this from my Twitter account, Jackal SIII, which I think you should follow. I'm pretty fun on there. It might have been different. Xavier didn't have to return either. We'll see if he adds anything to this. Rogue finally wakes up. Kurt is clearly never left her side because he's the best. Um, and the mansion's just wrecked, so I start wondering if they even have access to the basement or not. And Kurt has to confirm to Rogue that Gambit is actually dead. We see Jean super happy to see Storm, and they hug. And then Beast and Forge hug each other, and they're just super happy to see each other. Like finally can talk science with each other and inventing. And then their plans to move to Muir Island, which of course makes me think about Excalibur, even though Muir Island was clearly the second half of Excalibur, but still, there's no reason why Mariah can't have an assistant named Kate Pride, who for whatever reason has a purple dragon named Lockheed, and they're just like, yeah, we're here. What's up? Oh yeah, we see their action board, and there's all these Polaroids that I wonder who took those pictures and then who got tape and put them on the wall. And there's a big old poster of Magneto too. But everyone's back in the room, and that's pretty cool. Everyone wants Magneto to reverse what he did, which I don't know if that's even physically possible. Like I thought maybe it was just a matter of just letting the EMP run its course, and then everything would just slowly back up again. And Rogue's in her all green outfit that you get like hints out because she's wearing a giant trench coat that's clearly Gambit's. Cyclops mentions there's gonna be two teams, a blue team and a go team. So that's just awesome. We're getting all these moments. Blue team is going to be led by Scott Cyclops, and he's going to go after Magneto. And then go team is going to be led by Storm and Jean. So everything's just happening, and they're on the Bastion duty. Sunspot's clearly wearing his New Mutants uniform. And so everyone's getting up uniform upgrades, or retrogrades, eventually. Xavier reveals that he met Bastion when Bastion was just a boy. And Scott tells Sunspot that the blame game's over, and that's mostly because Scott already had his time to blame Xavier, and so now he's like, well, I don't want to hear anyone else's complaints. Beast and Forge are very cute wearing their tech goggles. Um, there's an ad for International Delights caramel cold foam that those two ladies look like they're clearly having a great time, and I've sampled it or I've gotten it, and because I see this commercial on Disney Plus so much, it just was in my head. And I work two jobs, and so yeah, I want coffee in the morning. um, and I'm here to say it is delicious. Hashtag, please sponsor me. And then we finally get a proper look at Rogue is wearing a green outfit and is clearly Gambit's trench coat. So it's just all a sweet touch. And Rogue is gonna ignore Scott and will continue to play the playing game, especially as Xavier wishes that he could bury Gambit at the school instead of where Gambit's home was. And and it's just a weird thing to tell Rogue, like you're just gonna prompt Rogue to like lash out at you. And then we see Asteroid M come to the mansion. So immediately blue team's just like, oh, our mission came to us. That's pretty handy. And Magneto's back in his classic red and blue, red and purple outfit, which I just love. He mentions Xavier's here and not with his Shi'ar Bird Queen, which is like, all right, Magneto. Like, it's unnecessary, but it is true. And Xavier tries to say how humanity isn't lost, and Magneto's quick to be like, humanity only got started with Genosha. Like, it's going on. He references Leech and how he's clearly dead. And he mentions how he saw Leech's tiny skull. And it's like, does he have a tiny skull? Like, I feel like his head's overly large for the rest of his body. And he's gonna take whoever wants to go with him to Asteroid M, which makes me wonder if Asteroid M even has food and water on there, but it must. And Rogue gives Xavier Gambit's jacket as she switches sides. And and then I referenced Jean Dying's old hat, but I don't remember how that came up. Oh, and Bishop is still in the future. And Sunspot decides to join Magneto as well. Like, he is done. So, besides Storm, Magneto just took their flyers. We get to Mirror Island, which has a nice Scottish musical choice. We see the classic uniforms in glass, which feels very Batman coded. And it wasn't until I saw someone else reference it, but all the, like, Jean Grey has a red wig on it for whatever reason, so people can know, like, oh yeah, this is Jean's, without having to read the plaque, which there are no plaques. And Cable wastes no time pointing out that Jean's not his mother, which is not that confusing. Like, hey, Scott, the woman you were married to is the mother of your son. Like, it's not your high school girlfriend. And then Scott delivers the amazing. Oh yeah, he gives Cable a new uniform and says, "What do you expect? Black leather," which is a clear reference to James Marsden 2000 X-Men. Oh yeah, and today's May 13th, which Fox Studios, RIP, announced or declared was X-Men Day. So, happy X-Men Day, everyone. And this is coming out a day later as I took Mother's Day off to just go to bed like a proper adult because I was tired. Um, and where he tells Logan, what were you expecting? Yellow spandex? And it's like, oh man, which Hugh Jackman has said recently, like he loved wearing the yellow spandex and he wasn't sure why they hadn't done it from the beginning, or at least years prior. Xavier has a working hover chair in an audience for President Kelly. They mentioned the Magneto protocols. It's an Astro meeting, so that's how Xavier's having a hover chair. Everyone's shooting up in old uniforms as they lost everything in the fire. Trish is there too in a bed, and Logan's in brown, so it's just fun to see everyone. Jean's wearing her classic green skirt. Scott and Jean hug. The Go team is officially Storm, Jean, Morph, Forge, Beast, and Cable in his 90s outfit. Bastion has the Sentinels working, which I was wondering how that was possible, and Forge thankfully reveals that Bastion's mutant power is tech, technopathy, so he's able to operate the Sentinels. Jean and Storm continue saying they're sisters when they talk of Phoenix. And it makes me wonder if Storm, because I want to say Storm was gone by the time Maddie and Jean show up, or Jean shows up and ruins Maddie's life. Oh yeah, we get this awesome exchange where Storm says, "Make them mind." No, no, Jean says, "Make them mind your weather," and then Aurora gives the response, "Let them weather your mind," which feels clunky, but it's also like this amazingly sweet thing that they might have said to each other before big battles. And I had to rewind it to get it right because I was like, wait, mind your weather and weather your mind. And I bet it sounded awkward to them at first, but they committed to it. And then Morph turns into the Hulk. So we've gotten Captain America, Hulk reference and now seen, and then Iron Man reference. So we're building the Avengers. And I adore that they have access to all these Marvel properties and they're not keeping them separate, unlike like their distinguished competition did back, well, forever until recent, like very recently. We see a Day Mayo's diner, which is just fun, and hopefully is a nice homage and doesn't age like milk over time, as we still don't know what got him kicked off the show. I guess popular theories that he was difficult to work with. But he seems very active on Twitter now. And Beast even looks like he's a darker shade of blue, but maybe I'm just looking into things. Sinister's there. He has moves. He hints that he can reveal to Jean when the switch happened. I suspect it was at their wedding night, or possibly the whole wedding. I will prefer it if it was actually Maddie who got married. And Jean's hitting Signature with bowling balls, the indignity. Then we cut over to the blue team, which is Scott, Xavier, Jubilee, Kurt, and Logan. And I really had a concern if Rogue and Kurt were going to fight each other. And it's cute that Magneto doesn't just remove Logan from the fight. And then we do get Rogan versus Logan. Ugh, Rogue versus Logan. Oh no, I said that right. And then I started wondering if they're going to set up Onslaught because all the pieces are there. And then we get Sunspot versus Jubilee, which isn't great for them. Magneto finally tells Xavier what we've all wanted, and for Xavier to just shut up already. We cut back to the Go team. Sinister's running in to put. Oh yeah, because their plan is to put a brain dampener on Bastion, like they tried to do with Jean and Dark Phoenix, which worked for a minute then. But Sebastian sees right through it. Not Sebastian. Bastion sees right through it. Um, as we find out, Sinister is actually Morph, and who got a costume upgrade of himself that resembles his Exiles uniform. And the Storms gets taken out, which is horrible. We see Cable versus Jean, as Cable has a red diamond on his forehead. And this mutant on mutant violence just has to end. And then it looks like Cable killed Jean, which must be a red herring to bring back the Phoenix Force. And then Logan gets the helmet off of Magneto. Xavier starts shutting down Magneto. Um, and then Magneto puts the helmet on Xavier, which blocks his powers, which is just a cool move to see. And that's just easier than having to deal with him. And then Logan punctures Magneto, penetrates him, if you will. And then Magneto, in just pain and rage, just like throws Logan against a wall and just begins ripping out his adamantium. And that is how you make a cliffhanger. As we have one episode to go, the thank yous are the same. Uh, Cara Boilers, Sal Buscema, Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, Jerry Conway, Maribel Edgelin, Pascal Ferry, Michael Godin, Butch Geis, Mike Higgins, Andy Kubert, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Scott Lobdell, Joe Madureira, Bob McLeod, Fabian Nicieza, Phil Noto, Carlos Pacello, John Romita Jr., John Romita Sr., Werner Roth, Steve Siegel, Mark Silvestri, Louise Simonson, Tim Sultan, Roy Thomas, Herb Tempe, and Lean Ween. So it's the same thank yous from last time, so Paul Smith was left off of it. And let's remind my old dad what comics came out last week so we can review them now. So Giant Size X-Men, number one came out, which is Louis Simonson trying to make us care about. Nope, I'm sorry, not Louis Simonson. I was thinking about X Factor because I'm listening to the Cerebro episode of Trish Tilby. But it's Ann Nocenti, a legend of her own right, as Ann Nocenti, excuse me, uh, tries to get us to care about Warren Worthington III, which is an impossible task, but she gives it her best. We get a recap on everything Warren up to this point, except for how he regained his head and from the end of Dark X-Men, he just has it back, and he's not blue anymore. And we get some Candy Southern in there, and some like fun flashbacks, and it ends setting up X Factor, which is another reason why I was thinking about the other. And so, it's an oversized comic and it's a giant sized comic and wasn't that much better. But I guess it sets up X Factor, so mission accomplished. Oh yeah, and then X-Men Forever 3 came out, which was actually pretty legit. Um Destiny wants Manifold to bring Nightcrawler to her. And then Destiny's or Mystique's there too, so we get the family reunion finally, where Destiny reveals that at one point she did figure out Kurt was her son, and Xavier's mind blocks remain in place where she doesn't have any mothery feelings towards Kurt, which makes me feel bad for him. And Mystique is very mad at Destiny, but we know that in a couple of weeks they're going to get married again or renew their vows, so they must just make peace with it. But and hopefully, at one point Xavier can unlock those maternal feelings for Destiny. But um, so we get the family reunion, but Gillian doesn't give us the satisfying one. Like maybe that will come later. And oh yeah, and then but Kurt's also there to give the Hope Sword to Hope, which is just fun. And turns out the Hope Sword is David Haller, and Hope doesn't feel comfortable using a sword, so it turns into a giant gun as she's gonna kill the Phoenix. And or the Phoenix Force. And Jean's is going to support that because they need the Phoenix back. And she admits that she's a daddy's girl, and I love that for her. So let's see what comics came out or coming out on Wednesday. So Miss Marvel Mutant Menace 3, which has like a scary zombie Cyclops on the cover. And imagine we're back on track again because we had a little Dazzler detour last issue. Oh yeah, Ultimate X-Men 3 comes out, which should be pretty fun or terrifying. Weapon X-Men 4, which I feel like 3 just came out. Maybe it's coming out bi-weekly. Oh yeah, Wolverine Matterport Nights 4 and X-Men Forever 4. So, which is the final issue. So we'll see what happens to Hope there. And I'm seeing last week Strange Academy Blood Hunt came out, so let me check fandom and see if Magic showed up in that. No, and thanks to fandom, Magic is even mentioned in there. Blade, Wanda, and Agatha are, so, sure. So, gotta pay better attention to that and see um, if Magic makes an appearance, but that'd be pretty nice. So that comes out, what's here? Oh, yeah, Monday, so that'll come out in 2 days. Or whenever you listen to this, it might already be out because podcast and time works differently. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for listening. They just announced Dazzler's getting an ongoing, so we don't know the creative team yet or the direction of it. And we get Storm's creative team should be coming out as well. And in Avengers 17, a Mighty Mutant joins the cast. So I've seen some speculations. I'm hoping it's someone who's not already part of the other titles, which doesn't like all the big names are spoken for, but Iceman's not, and Iceman could be an interesting choice. Um, but I'm hoping it's like a first time mutant on the Avengers, but we'll just see how it all shakes out. But so those are the big news of the weeks thus far, and thank you everyone for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and YouTube at Jacko SIII. Thank you to Walker D. Worrell, who did a bunch of Lego undercover videos on his YouTube video channel for the instrumental music. And I will talk at you next time. All right, everyone. Thanks. Bye.